Ladies and gentlemen.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube and Twitch. I need to get better about pumping the Twitch. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
How are you? What are we in for today?
Oh, let's see.
Every time I hear this song, I think Austin Powers.
Oh, I think of something about Mary.
Oh, that's a good one, too. Good choice. Good
Yeah,
call.
it's raining in June.
How is it raining out? There's sun. I can see it.
Because we both washed our vehicles and
Well, we did not.
me and JR
Yeah,
over
you and
here.
JR did. I knew I'd be the one driving to the dust or out to the current raceway, so I figured, well, might as well wait one more week and see how it goes. Although I do have a date on Thursday, so hopefully I can clean it before then. However, what are they in for today, my friend?
Oh, we've got a jam-packed show. We'll kick off the show talking about some NFL news. We'll have Coach Ari Weidman in today, the Cal State women's basketball coach. She'll join us at 8. We'll get into some baseball news. Let's see. The reason we're talking to Coach Ari Weidman is there's some summer camps coming up that Cal State's running, and she's going to break that down for all the kiddos, anywhere from I believe TK all the way to adult.
Oh, wow.
Summer camps. So we'll get into that. There's some team camps we talked about.
And as I say, the team camps are ones that I kind of find interesting. Usually these are individuals that if you just kind of want to go and build your game that you kind of get, you get thrown into. A whole team going together. If I'm a coach, that's a pretty good, opportunity right there to get some good chance or some good time together if you want to make something out of your season.
And we'll dive into the actual Madden curse. What kind of curse is it? Is it really a curse? We'll go down at least the last decade of the Madden covers, and then we'll recap Raw and preview tomorrow's jam-packed shows. We'll have KG Tiffy time and comedian Cactus Tate, who will be at the Timbler next Friday the 13th. She's doing 4 shows, I believe. But if you haven't found her on social media, catch her. If you like pissed off mom comedy, she is one of the best. She is hilarious.
Honestly, her reels are hilarious. Her reel about Annabelle and being lost in Texas, which can we talk about that for a quick sec, since we haven't really talked about this, both of us being huge horror movie fans. And my favorite horror movie franchise is the Conjuring franchise. Or at least it has grown to become my favorite, to be honest. Growing up, obviously it wasn't, but lately it's like this is easily the best grouping of horror movies we've had. But obviously one of the centerpieces of said franchise is the doll Annabelle. Now in the movies, Annabelle looks way, way creepier than she actually looks. She's actually just a Raggedy Ann doll, a very, very old Raggedy Ann doll. But for some reason, they decided to take her on tour. Y'all good? Y'all good? Is Annabelle attacking you? Is that what's happening right now?
You said it, man. Don't say her name again.
Sorry. Well, hopefully she's not in California. If she's somehow made it to California, I'm scared.
What people do, they go to Texas, then California, and then California to Texas.
But anyways, Cactus's entire reel making fun of that situation, because I agree with her 100%. Why are we? What is going on there? Why do we got to bring the dang doll of the devil to anywhere outside of that sacred spot? I don't understand what the idea was there, but it is what it is.
I thought the whole plan was to keep her safe. And
that's what I'm saying. Ed and Lorraine are turning right now. What is happening? But it is what it is. We lost her, apparently. So she's out in the ether of America. Hopefully that doesn't lead to nuclear bombs being let out. But at this point, God only knows what the heck that demon can do.
Oh man, we've been talking about Stephon Diggs the last few shows, and surprisingly, he returned to Patriots OTAs. Yesterday, right after the show.
And and we ended talking about this, how bad it looked that he was on a boat partying with his new girlfriend Cardi B, and all of her friends, which again, I don't judge you for doing that. It's the off season and these aren't mandatory practices. So I get it. The coaches even came out and said, we don't expect everybody here. Coach McDaniel said like there's never a perfect attendance rating at OTAs ever. So is it surprising that he wasn't there? No. However, do I kind of feel like he only showed up because of all the stuff that's going on in the media right now?
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
probably a perfect time to show up.
Us talking about it yesterday, and I don't mean us directly, but I mean just us bringing it up even as a whole shows that sports media has him in their mouth right now. He waved to all the media saying, hey, nice to see you yesterday. I mean, he clearly has some sort of animosity towards what the media is covering him as or covering him to be right now. And from what we said yesterday, when it comes to his physical, seems like he's okay. He was okay enough to lead the drills, and he was okay enough to at least do half of, I believe, the practice. I don't think he went full 7-on-7 or anything like that, but he's at least participating in the practices. So he's there. I don't like it seems to me like the Patriots may be okay with just brushing this under the rug and just saying, all right, dude, make it up to us on the field.
Until the second video comes out.
Exactly. That's what I'm worried about.
I know there's been a lot of chatter around New England, discussing if they were going to release him or not. OC Josh McDaniels downplayed the concern at practice yesterday. My question is if he's not under contract and he's dealing with, recovering from an injury,
right?
How safe is it to have your wide receiver one out there at OTAs, even if it's jogging around or not doing much?
I think that you kind of want him to do that though, because you need to re-strengthen the joints and stuff like that and everything that is obviously injured. But he wouldn't be on the field if he wasn't at least somewhat medically cleared, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like as long as he doesn't push it, as long as you don't force him onto 7-on-7s or 11-on-11 play anytime soon, I think he'll be okay in terms of that. I just got to let it heal on its own. And I think we'll probably see him. I doubt he starts the season like week 1. I think we may see him week 4, maybe up to week 8, because these injuries can take quite some time to fully recover from. But it just, I don't expect him to probably actually see the field though for some time.
So is that when they would take the physical?
No, maybe.
I would think you'd have a physical before he hit the field, but
honestly, I'm not sure if the physical gets taken before the season starts or not. I would assume signing him knowing he was injured last year, you have to have some sort of leeway towards it. You know what I mean?
Like physical probably before the active 53
exactly.
is released.
Like if he had torn his ACL in the off season, then I could see the physical being a problem. But until he's medically cleared by team doctors and stuff, I don't believe the physical is going to happen.
So speaking of injured players, the news came out yesterday with an undisclosed injury. As a Falcons fan, you'd probably know a little bit more than I would. But Kyle Pitts, it's been trade chatter with him as well.
Yeah.
But it looks like what I read yesterday, it seems like they're not actively shopping him. But
no,
this undisclosed injury may impact any trade talks or.
Well, okay. Here's my thing. They still don't say what the injury is. They won't say it. And normally you're pretty transparent about these things unless there's some problem behind the scenes. I'm not sure if this injury was something that he picked up last year during a game or as we just, made the illusion with Stephon Diggs, if this is something that he did during the off season. Because if this is something he did during the off season, this could potentially hurt his entire contract situation in general. He's in his last year of the contract. He is or has been lackluster throughout his entire career outside of his rookie season and really has not panned out for Atlanta at all. And honestly, I think I said it a couple weeks ago. I'm expecting Atlanta to move on from Kyle Pitts. I genuinely am. Either that or move him to a wide receiver because tight end clearly does not work for you. He's not a good blocker. He's one of the worst blocking tight ends in the league. He can't get open. So why would we keep you around if you're not going to produce the way that we thought you were going to produce in a way, if you're thinking the way Atlanta would be thinking? And I had just heard about this injury yesterday. So this isn't something that Atlanta has been spreading around or anything. The only thing that I knew is that he wasn't at OTAs, which is, again, not surprising. Kirk Cousins wasn't there. The right tackle wasn't there. There's a lot of pieces that weren't there. So it's not that big of a deal. But now coming out and finding out that it's because of an injury, we need to figure out where that injury is. And honestly, the only person that knows right now is head coach Raheem Morris.
And this is what he had to say about Pitts yesterday.
Extremely cautious with Cal right now and what he's got going on. Obviously, you don't talk about injuries this time of year, but definitely being cautious with him. So you won't see him. He's been here. He's done such a great job of all the stuff that we've asked him. He's been in every single meeting. He's been in every single thing that we've done other than the field. And he's been absolutely outstanding to be around in all this type of that area. But we're going to be extremely cautious in him. We had a couple people like that when we don't have him out there that we're extremely cautious with, that we know are here and have been a part of everything and just not in the grass.
Again, my only complaint about this is that we don't know what the injury is and they don't share it. That puts a big question mark above my head because why aren't you telling anybody?
Yeah, how serious is it?
Exactly. What is this? And now this is back-to-back years where star players in Atlanta apparently have random injuries that no one knows about. Kirk Cousins being the other guy. So now I'm wondering what's going on in the organization. Why aren't you sharing the information? What are you holding back from people? And why are you holding it back from people? Where did this happen? How did it happen? Everybody else is pretty transparent about injuries and like where they came from and what they are. So that's my only concern here when it comes to Atlanta and Kyle Pitts. Although, again, like I just said, I don't expect Kyle Pitts to be a part of Atlanta's roster starting next year.
Yeah, I mean, he's entering the final year of his contract.
It's either he's going to walk or they're going to trade him. And honestly, if I'm Atlanta, I'd trade him because you can get something for Kyle Pitts. There is value with Kyle Pitts.
If Miami trades Johnny, I wouldn't mind having him.
And that's what I'm saying. And maybe that's the bundle that we figure out a situation where, or I shouldn't say they figure out a situation where Ramsey goes to Atlanta and Atlanta trades Pitts over to Miami.
It's funny you bring up Ramsey because when I was taking notes yesterday, I saw that a lot of teams that are calling for Ramsey is not as cornerback. They want to play him at safety, which a lot of the older cornerbacks do. But I still think Ramsey has a couple years left in him at corner.
Yeah, he doesn't get burnt by receivers or anything like that I've noticed. I mean, I would keep him at corner, but if he's willing to make that transition to safety, I wouldn't necessarily see it as a bad move. There's been a lot of good corners that have moved to safety and thrived. Tyrann Mathieu being a big indicator right there. He came in as a corner and they moved him to safety immediately, and he's just been a monster at free safety ever since. Fitzpatrick is another good one. I'm with you. I wouldn't move him out of corner. He's one of the best corners in the league still, and until proven otherwise, I don't see a reason to have to move him out of position. I really don't.
Well, let's take a break. We'll talk about some retirements that were announced yesterday, as well as the Madden curse. Do you believe in the Madden curse? Let us know. If so, text in 661-842-2000. This is the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. could see a lot of mushrooms out there with the rain. Welcome back to the early bird special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. And just before we get out of the world of football, we do have a handful of retirements that happened yesterday. The Lions took a major hit, in my view, losing Frank Ragnow, who retired, and not because he wanted to stay, from what we understand, but his body is physically just not able to continue. And he just made the decision that after 7 years in the NFL, I believe 4 Pro Bowls, if I'm not mistaken, he is just
4 Pro Bowls, 3 second team All Pro honors. I mean, 29 retiring with that type of money, I'd be happy.
easily one of the better centers in the league, I'd say.
2018 first round draft pick. I mean, that is a major hit to Detroit. I know they've got rookie Tate Ratledge, who has been taking center reps during off-season workouts. But wow,
It's this is a hitter, especially at the time period. I mean, you're just starting OTAs, thinking we're gonna at least try to have somewhat the same season we had last year after losing both of your coordinators. Now you lose your leader on the offensive line outside of Penei Sewell. Let's be honest.
yeah.
But when Ragnow went down last year when he got hurt, and he would come back to play in almost every single one of these games outside of one. The team, or at least the offensive line, did not look the same. They're not led the same. So this is going to be one of those hits where, especially for Jared Goff, you're now going to have to get used to a new center. The cadences are going to have to be relearned. And honestly, losing just a vocal leader like Frank Ragnow like that, it's going to be a rough going, I think, for the offensive line of Detroit this year. I don't expect them to be as good as they were, but I mean, who knows? Maybe this kid comes in and he was the guard at Georgia where he was a stud, but moving from guard to center isn't exactly the easiest thing to learn in the NFL, especially in, I believe, your first year. So we'll see how this goes, but I personally think this is going to be a bigger loss than people are talking about right now.
Do you think they take a major step back, or just more of a learning kind of off season or a learning season with 2 new coordinators, obviously a new center?
I'm not gonna lie, I got the Lions dropping to maybe like a 10-7, maybe a 12-5. So
still a winning season.
But yeah, I would say a significant step back, but not because of your players, but just like what we've been saying since the beginning of this offseason. You lost both of your coordinators. Now you're losing your center. You're not going to have the same just leadership out there that has led you to a lot of those wins, not to mention almost every team that you're going to be playing, including some of your division rivals, have gotten better. I mean, if you don't think Chicago is going to come out and at least slug one of these games away from Detroit this year, I'm sorry, it's probably going to happen. Chicago looks drastically different than they did last season. So I expect them to at least give up a handful more games than they did last year, but still have a winning record. Losing your center on top of this is at least going to lose you one more game, I would say, in terms of statistics. I know you can't necessarily win or lose games in the offseason, but losing your leader on the offensive line in a league where you need a good offensive line and a smart center to pick up blitzes, to know where everybody's going to go and stunt packages and stuff like that. This is just going to stunt you on offense at least a little bit, especially in the run game.
And veteran cornerback Ronald Darby announced his retirement yesterday after signing a 1-year deal with Houston. I mean, he was a second-round draft pick by the Bills in 2015. Not as a big of a loss of a. I mean, he had a Super Bowl with the Eagles. Yeah. I mean, he's had a solid career.
I know he got the Super Bowl, but wasn't he hurt during that game?
I think he got hurt in the beginning.
Did he get hurt in the game? Okay.
I believe so.
I was like, I can't remember if he got hurt during the game or if he got hurt before the game.
But
I don't even know if he even played.
I mean, when you're losing a cornerback, luckily it's still early in OTAs that's one of the positions you can actually probably still fill. And maybe that is where maybe Houston starts calling Miami saying, hey, what's it going to take? Because we need a veteran corner.
Well, I could see that as well. The only thing that I would say is I think Houston has 2 very good young corners that they're not going to want to move off.
Oh, no.
Or trade. And If I'm
We'll see.
Miami, I'm trying to
We'll
get
see.
Singletary or the other. I'm sorry. Oh Lord, Lassiter. Lassiter is the other one. And honestly, if I'm Miami and you're getting calls about Ramsey from Houston, one of those two names better be on
Yeah.
the trade name or on the trade docket because you need to get a corner out of this.
But before we get into the last decade of the Madden curse, we did announce yesterday that Saquon was announced to be on the cover this year, and of course he hit the podium yesterday and talked about how it felt to be on the cover of Madden.
It was amazing. Once I found out that I would grace the cover of Madden 2026, it meant everything to me. Something I dreamt about as a little kid, and then I got to actually, do the hurdle again and realize, the move that I made was, kind of special because we had to strap me into a harness and do all this crazy stuff. But it definitely made my respect for a guy like Tom Holland, who do superhero movies and strapped in all the time. It's definitely harder than you think.
It absolutely looks harder. I'm not gonna lie. Like it just because you have a harness on doesn't make it any easier for you. It's got to be awkward having all that tech lift you up like that. But I need to hear from Eagle fans and just Madden players in general because I know I said yes. You heard my piece on the Madden curse. I genuinely believe it's real. I genuinely believe the Madden curse is a real thing. I know a lot of people are saying that we beat the Madden curse years ago. That's possible. I don't know. I don't believe in it. Last year, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, so
Well, we had a couple messages come in after the break. One says Madden curse is real. I believe it 100%. The other one says, yes, the Madden curse is real. Josh Allen just got lucky. Most guys get hurt. I hope Barkley doesn't get hurt. Want him on my fantasy team.
Well, again, we have to take into account too that last year's was Christian, not Josh. Josh was the year before that, and the year before that, Josh didn't do very well. So again, and the year before that was actually John Madden. I forgot about that because they put Madden on the cover for the anniversary.
Well, let's take a quick break because I have the rundown of the last decade of the Madden curse, and I mean it is not definitely a couple guys got hurt, but if you look at the stats, it's not as bad as you would think. But we'll talk about that and much more right here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM,
and we're also streaming
Welcome back. This is the early bird special. We got to talk Madden curse. Is it real? Is it not? I personally believe it's real. Some of our listeners believe it's real. What do you think? 661-842-1000. We'd love to hear from you. Personally, I've seen it come around way too often for it not to be real. I'm just saying, like, you got the Peyton Hillis thing. Like I said, Christian McCaffrey last season. Calvin Johnson. I'm sorry.
So this list I pulled from Bleacher Report goes back to
2015, I would assume. 2014, probably.
2015.
2015.
So not the Peyton Hillis years, but
It's all good.
so last year was the Christian McCaffrey, and
We all
that
know
one
how
was
that ended.
accursed. You know, after a dominant 2023
Although-
season.
Let's put him off as an outlier, because let's be honest, he had an injury prone issue before he was on the cover of Madden, so we will not qualify Christian McCaffrey.
Well, he played 4 games, so yeah, that's what it is. 2024 was Josh Allen, which was a kind of a mixed. He had 44 touchdowns, but also threw a career high of 18 interceptions, and you know, I don't know if that would
Bounced
call
by
a
the
curse,
Chiefs
maybe a
again.
mixed one, but 2022 was the Mahomes and Tom Brady, where
The
they
GOAT cover.
well, I would know if that was a curse, but I mean, both of them had, I believe, Brady had 43 touchdowns, Mahomes had 37, but both failed to make the Super Bowl that year. Madden 21 was Lamar, where he didn't match his MVP year, but the year before, but he threw 26 touchdowns and rushed for 1,000 yards. I don't know if that's a curse.
It's true.
We go back to
I think this is where everybody's argument of we beat the curse comes from. I totally get that. But
with
again,
Lamar.
well, no, I just think that you have to take into, statistically speaking, you're right. Technically, a lot of these guys did not have that bad of a season up until I think you're going to get to some of them here that did. But if you really look at the team success and stuff like that as well, you have to take that into account. I don't know. But go ahead and continue with some of these.
Madden 20 was Mahomes, where he won a Super Bowl.
Naturally. That's the one where everybody said we broke the curse.
Madden 19 was Antonio Brown, which he had almost 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns. But, you know, shortly after he had all those off-field.
The spiral.
The
Began.
spiral,
Let's not dance around it. His spiral began post Madden cover.
Madden 18 was Brady, no curse. That was when he was 40, threw for 4,500 yards and 32 touchdowns, and led the pass to Super Bowl, narrowly losing to the Eagles. But I mean, if you go and bring up guys like Brady and Mahomes, they don't win the Super Bowl. I guess that's a curse.
That's not. Yeah, I still, again, outliers, I would feel. But
Madden 17 was the cursed year because Rob Gronkowski was on the cover.
Yep.
He suffered several injuries and landed on injury reserve. He missed the playoff run, but still won a Super Bowl. Just didn't have any part in it.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, that's a toss up on that one.
Madden 2016 was Odell, where he followed up his rookie year with 96 catches, 1,450 yards, and 13 touchdowns. Not a curse. Madden 15, Richard Sherman. He stayed elite, grabbed 4 interceptions, 3rd straight first team All Pro. Is that a curse? Madden. So just in the last 10 years, we've got 3 cursed seasons with McCaffrey, Gronkowski, and Antonio. The mixed results were the Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, just because they didn't win a bowl.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then the successful is 5 with Mahomes twice, Brady twice, Beckham and Sherman. So if you look at the stats, yeah, I mean, 3 out of 10, 30%.
I mean, again, you're making a very valid argument that the Madden curse does not exist. I think that these are very valid arguments to what it is. I think if you go back further than that is really where this stuff happens.
So have we beaten it? We'll see.
I don't know. Again, it seems to me that it could be the case. I still believe it's true. I still believe it happened. I've been playing these games long enough to know that this is not something that you want most of the time. And again, I hope that is not the case for Saquon Barkley, because we just got him out of New York.
And I'm sure Chris Flail, when he comes in on Friday,
we'll have plenty.
have something to say about that.
But again, if you are a devout Madden player, or you've like I've bought in dang near every
Me
copy
too.
since I've been, I don't know.
I'm so old. I'm gonna have to remember the word I have to use with Tiffy, but
Vintage.
I'm vintage. I remember before Madden when PlayStation first came out and they had the almost like a 2K
Yeah.
with Marshall Falk on the cover, and that game was so badass. But I go back to the old days because my favorite football game of all time is still Tecmo Bowl. Yes, Tecmo Bowl,
Where you can
where you
just
can
spam Bo
cheat and
Jackson.
run. Exactly. But I always picked with Miami, and yeah, the 4 plays you could pick. That was the best one when you picked your brothers. You know which play is always going to
Right.
run, so you always pick it, and you get all out blitz. I'm like, see, you can't beat me, fool. Just pick
Well,
the same play over and over.
Madden had those too, though. There was a handful of plays growing up that you would always be able to use. The 4 verticals would always work or something of that nature.
But I'm going to bounce this off you because you're a little younger. But I haven't really. I bought the last 2 Maddens. I played it in the beginning and I kind of got old with it. Do you see a major change in the last few years of the Madden games?
Okay, so that's kind of been my argument against the games for a long time, but that's my argument against sports games in general. I buy them and play them because I enjoy sports games and I like playing with my nephew. My nephew is really into them right now, so every time I come over, he's always like, "Come on, let's play Madden." And
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
I love playing Madden with him and
Mhm.
my brother-in-law too. It's fantastic, even though they're Niner fans. But no, that is a major gripe against video games, early sports video games in general, is that there isn't a lot of change in them, and that they really haven't done much. But what my argument against people who also say that are when they did try to make changes, let's go back to the Calvin Johnson Madden,
Oh,
where they
yeah.
gave you replays and all
Mhm.
that, like made it more like a video game rather than a real life simulation. Everybody hated it. You all hated it. Every single thing. You hated everything about it. And then FIFA came out with their whole ultimate team thing. And now that's the only thing that everybody is okay with is you have to have an ultimate team mode so you can go and buy cards and spend money on a game that you already spent money on. So I don't really get the argument either way. I understand. Yeah, they really haven't changed anything, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, I have no issues with it. I think Madden is exactly the way it needs to be, just like 2K basketball is exactly the way it needs to be. And so I don't think there really needs to be anything major change wise outside of just give me better graphics every year. That's and a better roster,
Of
obviously.
course,
But
the updated roster is always better.
I could also see them going a route of like, hey, we're going to release Madden and then it'll last for 5 years. And then you'll just have to buy the DLC every single year with a new updated
The
roster.
updated roster.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I've always liked is the updated roster, of course. But I remember the old ones where you could play as the actual rookie
Mhm.
and
Oh,
go
and
through
they're
the
bringing
training
that back.
camps. I'm hoping they bring that back. But the other thing was how they changed the moves.
Mhm.
I grew up playing this way, and then they change it, and then they go back and forth, and now you have the option of picking
Mhm.
which way you want to play, which I've always liked. But yeah, I mean, it's always the funniest thing is my little brother Shane. He is a diehard Madden guy. Like
Really?
he's playing online all the damn time, and
I've probably played them once or twice then, to be honest
I'm
with you.
sure you have because
I
that
don't
kid.
play often, especially online, because I'm not gonna lie to you. Much like the Call of Duty fan base, I don't like messing with toxic fan bases like
Yes.
that. I will not talk to you. I don't care how much you talk smack. I don't. I will shut you off and just play the game pretending you're a computer. I really will. I don't care. But
My problem is when these kids. That's what I don't like about how you can update your what is it called? Your all Madden, not your all Madden team, but the ones you
the
buy the
Madden
packs.
Ultimate Team.
The
Yeah,
ultimate team. See, I never got into that because I've
same.
already dropped, 70, $80 on this game. I'm not about to
Exactly.
drop $5, $6 a day, but I'll play him. And he's got all these veteran Pro Bowler Hall of Fame
Mhm.
players. I'm like, oh, come on. When it's all 99 team.
Well, that's the whole point of Madden Ultimate Team, though, is that you can build the team that you've always wanted to build, which I totally see the allure of. Don't get me wrong. But when I have to drop $40 on a pack for players that I can only use a certain amount of time, like, no, I'm done. I don't need that. Like, if I can there are certain things that allow you to actually build up and unlock some people. Sure, I'll play through whatever challenges I have to do there. But when I have to start spending money on it, that's where I'm like, nah, you lost me. I'm good.
Well, let's take a break. We'll wrap up. What do you think about the Madden curse? Do you still believe in it, or are you an old school Madden guy where you go into the old Peyton Hillis days? Because I remember that one was one of the biggest.
I loved that one. I mean, there's a lot of, like, you can go back to the Michael Vick cover,
See that one too.
Ray Lewis. I mean, there are so many that I remember growing up playing, and they were all amazing. And that's why I'm just like, I don't care. Every year, like, I've heard people complain about a different thing.
Well, if you're a fan of a cursed team, just in general,
Yeah,
you'd
exactly.
be like me and my brother. We just print out our own covers
Yeah.
of Dolphin players, and we're cursed anyways.
There's a whole community for that. You can go build, like, if you don't like what the cover looks like, somebody will have made the cover you want. Trust me.
Well, we got a couple of texts regarding baseball, so we got to get into baseball
Yes.
after this break. And then we'll have Coach Weidman coming in at the top of the hour right here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
Before we get into this baseball talk, I have to read this one for you. It shows how out of touch I am with Madden. I really thought Josh Allen was the last one. But Chris is right. It was CNC when
To be fair though, I totally forget it was CNC because I haven't bought a physical copy of Madden. Because when we start moving away from discs and stuff like that, I can just play it off a game console.
see I'm old. I like the disc.
I know, no, my roommate's the exact same way. I get why you guys are. I just love it, especially when it's a game like Madden, because they have no resale value at all. Just so you guys know, if you held on to your old Madden games, sorry, they aren't gonna buy them from you. They don't care.
No,
they
but
don't want 'em.
Crazy Collectibles will.
No, I get that, but the likelihood of you finding somebody that's going to drop a good amount of money for one of these copies is very little.
Right.
Like everybody still has their copies.
I mean, we're
from
already
back
talking
in the
about
day.
PlayStation 6. So if you have
I
the old
know.
school one,
Like, don't get me wrong, I still have my PS3 Fat Boy that'll play PS1 and 2 games. I kept it
I
clean
still have my PS2.
solely for that reason. But it just at the same time, if you held on to these, I'm sorry because there's no resale value to them at all.
You're just taking up space.
Exactly. So like games like that, I'm like, I'll buy the digital copy. I
But
don't
this
care.
one had 2 questions. When was Madden on the cover? I forgot about that one. And also, do you have any clue when the Madden movie is coming out? I'm not sure when
the
movie
Madden
is coming out.
movie, I don't think has had a release date announced yet.
I believe just the photos that have been
Yeah.
coming out there just in
Which
production.
look crazy.
It does.
Nick Cage is Madden. I did not think this was
He
going
put
to
on
work
some
out
weight.
at
I was
all.
like,
but,
damn, homie.
well, I don't know if he gained weight or if it's if
They
it's a
showed
fat suit.
pictures of.
Oh, so
Yeah,
it's actually
he's
his
putting on
weight.
weight, yeah.
Oh no.
And it's going to be awesome, I think.
No, I think it's going to be awesome too. But like method actors, when they go that deep and you start fluctuating with your weight, because I know Christian Bale's done it a million times too.
Yes.
That's what scares me because like your body can't handle that for very long. But no, you're right. I love the pictures of Nick Cage and Christian Bale, who's going to be, I believe he's Mark Davis. No,
Al Davis.
Al Davis. Sorry. Yeah, he's Al Davis. And it looks good, but I don't think a release date's actually been named yet for the movie or shown yet, I should say. As far as Madden being on the cover, that was 2022, if I'm not mistaken. It was the one before Josh. The one right before Josh Allen, which should have been Madden on the cover because it was the anniversary edition or something of that nature. So it's like 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah, that was the anniversary edition.
yeah.
But going over to baseball, I know the Yankees lost their closer, Luke Weaver, to a hamstring injury. Reports came out said
darn.
he's out 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Darn. Sorry, Yankees.
I know Trout came back.
Yes, and he had a
hell of a
heck
game.
Had a massive home run yesterday to help them beat the Red Sox. And the biggest story of the day, Sparky, the Rockies won a game. The Rockies got to double digits.
They got it before Scheffler.
Oh my God, they're 10-50 now.
Oh my God.
10-50. Now, and for those of you who don't follow baseball, we just had the literal worst losing season we've ever seen in baseball last year by the Chicago White Sox. I can't even remember how bad it was or how many games they won. The Rockies are on trajectory to be worse than that.
Mm-hmm. And these are their late 1800s.
60 games in, and you're 10-50. This is gonna be. I hope at some point they can hit a run and at least get out of that historically bad area. But this is just sad. It really, really is.
Our text says Tanner Scott is a spy sent by the damn Padres to the Dodgers to blow up the bullpen. He is hot garbage.
Look, man, Tanner is Tanner. Tanner had bad times with the Padres too. I just don't think he's a closer. He's never been a closer. He's more of a setup guy or a late reliever. I like him. I like, honestly, if you traded him away from the Dodgers, he'd probably be fine. I just don't. I think there's a handful of teams in sports that not everybody can play for. If the Dodgers, the Knicks, the Yankees, like the big like limelight teams, some people just can't get their footing and play for some reason, and that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. I still ride. Well, you guys just traded for a closer from the Reds, so potentially that could be your your go-to here in the next couple weeks. I'm still riding with Shohei being your closer. I'm gonna ride that train till it dies, man. I'm
which I believe
sorry.
hit his 23rd last night.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, until someone tells me any differently, I'm calling it right now that would be the best opportunity for the Dodgers to have a semi decent to an elite closer. It's Shohei Ohtani. The picture, it's right in front of your face. Just take it. That's all I'm saying.
And I know
But
some sad news out of baseball yesterday. Japan's Mr. Pro Baseball passed at the age of 89.
that's a hell of a run.
He played for the Yomiuri Giants.
Yep.
And I mean, played 17 seasons for the Giants, racking up over 2,400 hits, over 400 home runs, and helped lead the team to 9 straight series titles from 65 to 73. He was at the age of 89. He was also the manager and won 2 more titles. But he mentored, several MLB stars, and Ohtani honored him on his social media yesterday, saying, "May your soul rest in peace." But some positive baseball news: we have the Women's College World Series all set. I believe Game 1 is tomorrow, and you can hear it right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m., 101.1 FM, and streaming at espnbakersfield.com. Are you surprised at all? I know it's Texas versus Texas Tech, which I don't believe either one of them have ever won a College World Series.
Probably, yeah. I mean, again, I don't follow college baseball or softball as closely as I probably should, to be honest with you.
Well, you're gonna have plenty of time now with basketball.
Yeah, no kidding. With on a break for about 3 weeks before we get a final.
But I read that Texas Tech stunned the softball world yesterday.
Yes,
defeating the 4-time defending national champs Oklahoma 3-2.
And you'll love to see that. That's what I love about college sports is you see that more than anything is these underdogs or at least lower ranking schools pulling off an upset in these big moments. And for Texas Tech to come out and pull off an upset like they did yesterday, and I watched the highlights. Looks like it was fantastic softball. I need to follow this more closely. I wish that there was more ability to do coverage. Yeah, but it's just it especially when you have stories like this when Oklahoma goes into 4-time champion at some point, and that for them to get uprooted like that and no one was really covering the game outside of when they lost.
Yeah,
that's
Texas Tech. This is their first trip to the World Series, but Texas, after beating Tennessee 2-0 yesterday, they actually are going back. They've been the 3rd time in 4 years. So Texas Tech, I mean,
I guess it's a rivalry for the ages if you're in Texas, and it's 2 great schools too, so you can't really complain about that. If you're Tennessee, I feel like this is a little bit of a letdown, especially after the big debacle against UCLA and how much you had to fight to really get through that game. I don't know. Me and Greg Kerr were talking about that post his show and how everything should have gone rules wise because I don't have
I heard
any
him
background.
yesterday.
Well, I mean, he brought up a good point though. It is a dumb rule. It's an absolutely dumb rule.
There are so many dumb rules though in sports.
Oh yeah, no, and that's kind of what I was talking to him about after his show as well. Is like, well, can't really boil everything down to a dumb rule because if that was the case, I could pinpoint a whole bunch in basketball and football that need to be moved as well. I personally find it to be a dumb rule that they have to go around the bases. If it's a home run, it's a home run. They literally should just have to hit home plate.
You think they just modernize it that one day, or is it baseball is just the old school sport that they never change those type of rules?
No, I think that I think a lot, we were talking about this 10 years ago, yeah, baseball is just the old school sport that will never change. But I think they've genuinely made attempts or strides to change and make the game a little more modernized. I think the pitch clock and a lot of other rule changes that have been happening, your balls in strike zone, robots and all that type of stuff, that's probably going to be a good thing going forward. I know a lot of people are really worried about them taking away the human element. All I'm thinking is that this is a good way to essentially keep umpires in check. We won't have an Angel Hernandez situation anymore if you have the balls and strikes machine. That's all I'm saying. But no, I think that baseball and softball specifically have made major strides to kind of move into the modern era. So maybe you do get some adjustments in the rules and all of that. But there are going to be some things that are going to stay traditional. So like my gripe against having to go around the bases on a home run, that's never going to change. Ever going to change. You're going to have to do that until the end of time. That's part of baseball. I realize that. But it is what it is. You just have to kind of deal with it. So,
well, join us for the second hour. Feel free to text into the show anytime at 661-842-2000. We're going to take our bottom of the hour break and welcome Coach Ari from Cal State. And there was 4 camps, right?
yes.
All right. We'll hear more about that right after this break. The Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. And welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special, Hour 2. Oh, the White Sox. Fantastic. Again, don't quiz me. It's been some time. We forgot to start up our headphones. But we do have in studio a very special guest, the head coach of the women's Road Runners basketball team, Ari Weidman. How are you?
Hi, I am good. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So I know you guys have some basketball camps coming up this summer for everybody. Now, first and foremost, let everybody know who you are, where you come from, and your background with the entire team.
Yeah, I am from Southern California, so Chino Hills product,
Nice.
and just took my first head coaching job at CSUB. So it's been awesome getting that at 33, just turned 33. So excited.
Happy belated birthday.
But really excited to help build this into a championship program. It was really nice coming from winning a championship at Toledo the year before, and just kind of the journeys and helping programs turn around has always been something I've enjoyed, and so really excited to build that here. And I believe that this is a sleeping giant, so just got to get it away.
And this is one of those communities that will get behind you no matter what if they believe in you. And honestly, in your first year, I know there were some growing pains, obviously, as they're going to be. But I think that going forward, I think you're going to have quite a bit of success. And I think with the community outreach that you guys are doing with these camps, obviously, it's just going to be a great way to do that, right?
Totally. I mean, we did a ton of community service even throughout the year, like serving and giving are big pillars of this program. And so I just would love for us to continue to give back to Bakersfield and the average women's basketball fans. They're young families or people, 55 and older. So we really tried to target those age groups. And so, excited to have camp and just get some youth on our campus.
So talk about the camps that are going on this summer. I know they start up in about like 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, the first one is June 16th through the 19th. And so that's a kids camp. So it's 3rd through 8th. And so we'll be doing skill development, having fun, getting to know all these kids. And then I think that's a week after we do K through 3rd. So that'll be fun. Those little ones, it's more games and, trying to teach
just keeping them active, a little bit more daycare than anything.
Exactly. And then
Well, I mean, growing up playing basketball, I remember it was probably 4th grade is when I got into my first camp. And I mean, playing on the street, with your neighbors, that's always fun. But it was like a major jump when you got to play indoor in a real court. And I was like, this is the real thing. I had my new Jumpman shorts all prepared, and I was like, and I would say if you're thinking about it, I would jump on it, man, because it is great to learn the fundamentals that young, and especially with Coach Ari, man.
And then talk about the team camp as well, because I know you guys are having a team camp go on for like teams around town, right?
Yeah, we're working on getting that done. We want at least 12 teams, and so we're targeting, Bakersfield, Fresno area. But team camp's always fun because, JV and varsity teams can get there. You get 3 games guaranteed, and it's also good for high school players who want to be evaluated if they're not on a big AU team. Like our whole staff evaluates and watches those games as well. And so we are working on getting all of our teams there. And then elite camp is for 9th through 12th. I mean, sometimes there's good 7th or 8th graders, but that's a great time to kind of get on our radar because we're doing live evaluations. And if we see somebody like I've been in a place where we offer kids, off of camp. And so it's a great opportunity and we can get on some kids early.
I'm just saying there are a ton of really good athletes in this community that I think I wouldn't say get overlooked, but a lot of the other schools around California and stuff like that really do look at Kern County as a gold mine. And if you can pull some of these kids get their attention of staying here in Bakersfield and playing here, you could have quite a successful group, I think.
Yeah, just the Valley overall. I mean, my associate head coach, he's from Fresno, and so he's got some deep ties here, and he just got on staff, but he's already been so amazing, and so he's helping with that too. So we're on some kids from the Valley.
Absolutely,
right on. Well, you brought up the team camp and the elite camp. What is the difference between those?
Yeah, team camp is just more so it's all playing, and so they have those 3 games. Elite camp will typically do a format where a lot of the kids will do drills that we do in practice. So we'll evaluate them or we'll teach them simple reads or ball screen reads. And then we'll do some shooting and then we play. And so it's just a little bit more skill session at first with coaches and just to see how college practice would go. And then we get after it just so everybody wants to play, right? But we can really see their skill set after that. But we want to see how they are in a learning environment too with some drills.
And those are at the end of the month, right? The 28th and 29th, I believe.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. 28th and then
where can people go to actually sign up for this if they're interested?
Yeah, you can go straight to our website, and the link is there. My assistant, she's got a long name. She's Hawaiian, so I won't even say it on air. But you can go to csubcamps-wbb.com, and so you can see all of our camps and then register on there.
Fantastic. And then I have some self-indulgent questions for you, obviously. Did you play besides coaching?
Let's do it.
In the past?
I played all 4 years at the University of Nevada, Reno. So go Pack,
Nice.
And then I played overseas just briefly in China and Iceland.
What years were you at University of Nevada?
2010 to 2014.
Oh, okay, so you were just after, I believe, the Kaepernick era?
He was a senior when I was a freshman. So those games were fun.
So you were on the campus at the same time.
Yeah.
So what was that kind of like with him there?
That was awesome. They just broke the top 25. I remember them beating Boise State. That was a fun game. But Kaepernick was the nicest guy, just going to the weight room, crossing paths with him. And I think it was Virgil Green, Rashard Matthews. They had a good tight end, wide receiver, and Chris Alt's phenomenal. So yeah, it was fun.
Well, it must have been fun to be there during that point. But how successful were you guys on the women's basketball court?
We were solid. My first year, we won 22. I think we were 22-11. My teammate got drafted. Then we were okay. And then my last year, we were top 3 in the conference in the Mountain West. So
okay, respectable. I mean, you're fighting for the chip at least. I would take it.
Yeah,
very cool. And then you obviously made that transition into coaching. About what time did you kind of make that decision, thinking, maybe coaching is the way I want to go now?
Yeah, when I was playing in Iceland, I had like a 7th grade team, and so I just found myself going to my room after games every night, drawing up plays, and I was like, I want to be a coach, and so I ended up getting a GA job in Texas at Prairie View A&M, and she's like, do you want to come sight unseen? I'm like, yeah, I just want to coach. And
hold on, we can't just gloss over the fact that you went and played in Iceland.
Yeah,
is that what you said? How was that?
Reykjavik. It was amazing. The people were really great, and I love learning, and I'm just always been curious, but just different brands of basketball. It's always fun.
Really? Okay. How different is Iceland basketball to American basketball?
I always think Americans we're just faster and stronger.
Really?
I mean, they're physical, but the speed of the game and the physicality in America is a little bit different than European basketball.
Okay. Which is interesting to hear, because obviously you see a lot of European players coming to like the NBA and the WNBA right now. And I mean, at least the NBA, they're taking over the vast majority of it.
I'd say they're more skilled as far as youth basketball. I think they're taught, whereas, in America, it's like AAU one-on-one.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Europeans are a little bit more skilled and fundamentally sound as of now.
Okay, that makes a little more. Does that impact your coaching style at all? Have you kind of incorporated that with the Roadrunners?
I'm very free flowing. I love NBA concepts, and a lot of that trickles down. Like European NBA comes to college men's basketball than women's. I steal off concepts from the NBA and European. So yeah, it flows into what we do, and I just try to study the game. What's easiest for players to digest, and it's simple.
Not to give away any of your secrets, but who have you kind of taken concepts from? Like, are there any players that you've kind of like looked at your players and say, okay, I can kind of scheme you kind of like this person or that person, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been watching a little bit more. I love the Celtics. I shouldn't say that because I'm from LA, like I'm a Lakers fan. My dad would be very disappointed, but I like the way they play. Yeah, Joe Mazzulla, and I love some of their 5-out actions just for spacing purposes. And we've done some 5-out 4-round-1 concepts here, but I kind of just like watch. I just like watching good basketball. Like my friend's on the Pacers staff, so I'm excited for them. She's one of the only female assistants in the NBA. So.
That's so cool. Good for her.
Yeah, so I'm hoping they win it all. Actually.
Yeah, so I was just about to ask that. So I see you're leaning more towards the Indiana side than you would Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I like the young guys over there, but my friend's on there, and then Tyrese Halliburton. Like he's a good guy and a great player. So. Pulling for them.
So, one last question for you. Then I have to ask this because I'm just curious of what your thoughts are about this. Obviously, with the whole Caitlin Clark thing going in the WNBA, there's a lot of talk about players just kind of being more scornful towards her or something like that. Do you kind of see that as well? And what are your thoughts when it comes to that?
Yeah, I think I should watch more W. I've watched some lately, but we've been recruiting.
Right. Yeah.
I think a lot of it. Maybe it's somewhat of a narrative, but I do think that obviously sometimes it's not fair. But like I think a lot of it's just basketball, and I think a lot of players just want to be seen as basketball players. Because if it was men's basketball, we would not probably not be having these conversations.
No, it would probably be seen more as a competition thing, and they
Yeah.
were just kind of getting more fiery about it. And I agree with you. That's
Yeah.
why I'm just like,
But it always happens for us, like for women. It's like, okay, but you know, we if we want to be respected on this level, right? We want it to be, you know, just competitors. That's
Right.
it, right?
Absolutely.
And like Caitlin is amazing, like and a lot of these players are. But yeah, it is kind of fun that it's a little bit chippy now because that's like
that's
when
what
the
I thought.
NBA was like that. It was like, okay, these guys are all like,
And
it
that's
means
what-
something. They're not all friendly.
that's
you
what
know?
gets the attention towards you a little
Right?
bit, right? I mean, that's kind of what we liked about the old school NBA is
Right.
that
That's
there
what I was
was the
gonna say,
fighting and
because whenever you were playing, whether you were a 6-man or coming off the bench, when
Yep.
you were playing Jordan, you were playing the best at best you could do, because you wanted to dunk on Jordan, you wanted to do something like that, and it went throughout the years. But I'm glad you said that, because I mean, Caitlin's not my favorite
Yeah.
player in the league, but you know, that's what's on
Who you
TV. That's
going
the
with?
coverage. I mean, I go back way back. My favorite in the back was Rebecca Lobo.
Oh yeah.
I always liked her growing up. So I mean, I've kind of swapped over to the LA Sparks, but I mean, we don't get a lot of coverage. That's what I'm saying. You have to get like the package just to be able to watch the games.
I know.
So I mean, luckily us doing the show in the morning, I can kind of do my homework and blame it on homework. But I mean,
it's a great job.
I like Angel. I like a lot of these players, but it seems to bring the fire out of these players when they're playing Caitlin. So I
Yeah.
mean, if that is that the spark that we need for the more entertaining games. I mean, we just talked about what a 52-point blowout the other night, and I'm like, okay, well, like, I could switch that, and then I go over to the NBA game, and that was the same night as another blowout. I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's gonna be a bedtime early
Yeah.
tonight. But I mean, I'm an old school Bulls fan, so I mean, it
Okay.
was hard to root on for either the Knicks or the Pacers.
Yep.
And I really like what OKC's bringing. I know they're young. We weren't
Yeah.
expecting them to jump this quick. I mean, we talked about it when the playoffs were starting,
Mhm.
and everybody kind of brushed them off. Oh, they're young. You know,
Yep.
they got to learn. And I think a lot of the playoffs this year was more of how the series broke down the matchups. Because I mean, we were talking about the Lakers, we were talking about the Warriors, and it was all bad matchups, same as the Celtics.
Yep.
You know, it kind of the same thing we talked about is the Knicks beating the Celtics was their finals this
yeah.
year, and I'm hoping that the Pacers make this a series, because OKC is playing hot right now, and it's
Yeah.
going to be the total different of what they played against with the Knicks.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, with OKC being fast paced and a high defensive team, I'm hoping it's just an entertaining NBA
Yeah,
finals.
go to 7.
That's
Yes,
what we
exactly.
want. Yeah,
It's
we
the
want a
best.
7 at least, but I don't know. This entire playoff run in general has just been really entertaining, though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously the amount of comebacks you've had. Everyone thought the Lakers were going to be the team to make it all the way to the West, and that ended up blowing up early. I mean, there's
And
plenty
Curry's
to talk-
injury.
Curry's injury. I mean, it's just been really
Tatum's
good basketball.
injury.
Yeah,
Like, it's
I mean,
sad.
it is just good basketball. That's all that we're hoping for, right? So
Totally.
one more time, though, let's talk about the camps. When are they? How people can get involved?
Yeah, I'd say as long as they go to the website and register, that would be amazing. And we'd love to see you all throughout June. So we've got camp starting from June 16th up until the 29th. So we'd love to have people in the Cardo Center, really get to connect with them and share the game that we all love on our staff to be able to teach and serve and give back to the community.
Absolutely. And are some of the players going to be there as well to help out?
Yeah, some of our players will be there. So that's another plus, right? Being
Well, there you
around some
go. If
Division
you
I
have
talent.
If you have a little fan at home, they could always go play basketball with some of these people. So it'd be a lot of fun. Go check it out at CSUB camps, right?
Yep.
To check it out online. And I'm not sure exactly how much they are. Anywhere between like $100, I would assume, somewhere in that area.
Yep. And I can rattle these off. So the 3rd through 8th is $100. The K through 3rd is $60. And then these team camps, the each per kid it would end up being, so it's $225. So obviously you divide that with them, whatever kid you got.
Obviously.
And then our elite camp, I think the price just changed. So I'll take that back. It's only $75.
Oh, there you go.
$75 for elite
See,
camp.
It's
Woo!
absolutely manageable for you on under $100 to get your kid into these camps, which will be a fantastic situation for them. Coach, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We hope to have you back soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Not a problem. We got to take a break real quick, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield, and we are streaming live on YouTube and Twitch. can't stop. Dre, I'm sorry. It hurts my soul, but I have to talk.
Yep.
This is the early bird special.
Big shout out to Coach Weidman. I believe that she's going to bring that winning attitude to the women's
I
team.
think so too. And don't get me wrong, Coach McCall did too. Coach McCall was a fantastic head coach. Loved him to death. But I like it. I like her mentality. I like her background in basketball. It's obviously, although she is young, it's an in-depth background.
But young, I mean,
that doesn't mean anything.
4 years of basketball in college. I mean, playing overseas.
If I'm gonna just throw it out there, we need to move on to the new era of basketball.
We do, and we also need a lot of backing from the pockets.
And that's the best way to do it, is to make the games exciting again, right? So as much as I've loved a lot of the people that are within the organization in the past couple years, I think it is time we got to move forward into the new era of basketball and the new era of thinking. And I think Coach Weidman's got the right idea. I really do. I think she's on the right track. So I think we need to get behind her.
She's got a good head on her shoulders.
She really does.
She's got that fight in her. So I'm looking forward to catching a couple games this year.
And talking off the air of what she's heard and is dealing with right now. I appreciate the support from the community. I really do. I think that's a great way. And I know we're a magnanimous community, and a lot of what is built up, much like we've found out in the past, is what's the word I'm looking for? When you bring money in, you know what I'm saying? It's self-donated, like stuff that's come from the community. So I enjoy hearing that, but we need more. We got to
it's the league, or it's the world of college sports now. Is money is what brings in the talent.
And that's the unfortunate truth.
And that's what it is. But going back to the NBA, the Phoenix Suns have narrowed their head coaching job down to 2 finalists, both from Cleveland.
Leave my coaching staff alone.
And as the only Cavs fan I know.
I mean, again, it's much like the Lions. When you have a good team, they want to pick you apart because obviously they want your success. So it comes with the territory. I'm not very happy about it, but it is what it is.
With Johnny Bryant and Jordan Knott, I mean, which one would you not? I mean, obviously, it's 2 major big spots in the coaching staff.
Don't know which one I would rather part with.
I know really one's associate coach and the other one's an assistant.
I would probably say the associate coach, just because the assistant has got more of a hands-on hands-on relationship, I would feel, with the players. So, but to be fair, it really just depends whichever one the Suns want to offer money to.
Yeah,
and they
it all goes back to money again.
Yeah,
but they're both. We'll meet with the Suns ownership this week in Michigan, so
we'll find out.
We'll find out. I wouldn't expect it to. I think they'll have the decision.
When's
by the
the
end of the
last
week.
time we've had a situation though where both of your candidates came from the same team,
fighting for the same job?
That's crazy.
And then the one gets hired, and then the other one takes him with him.
And you know what's funny?
They both end up with the Suns.
The only reason that they're talking to him too and have gotten this far in the conversations is because Oklahoma City's coaches aren't allowed to be talked to yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Oklahoma City's coach, like their associates and assistant head coaches, are going to be taken as well because of how successful they have been. But it just hurts. It hurts my soul. I hate seeing any piece of this Cleveland Cavaliers team go anywhere. I think they need to run it back. I genuinely do. Even all the talks about trading Darius Garland and Jared Allen, I'm like, shush, shut your mouths.
This offseason, I think, I mean, luckily we're on live every morning because I think this offseason is going to be fireworks.
It's going to be wild.
It's going to be crazy.
And I've said this in past videos, and I'm going to ride with it. I'm going to say it out loud right now because I'm hearing other people say this now too, including Charlemagne the God. LeBron back to Cleveland.
Real?
LeBron back to Cleveland.
Yeah.
LeBron and Bronny back to Cleveland. Because I mean, well, here's the thing: LeBron leaves, Bronny got to go with him. I mean, let's be honest.
Yesterday that Bronny was going to get like 10, 12 minutes. And
I would hope that's the truth, but God only knows, man. I mean, come
really,
on.
You think the Lakers would do that?
I don't think the Lakers would do anything. I think
LeBron.
I think
obviously.
LeBron. I think he should. I think the best opportunity for him would be go back to Cleveland, win one more ring.
I think he'll end his career in Cleveland.
I think so too.
But I think he'll probably one more year with the Lakers.
Why not go now?
Yeah, why not?
Cleveland was the number one.
Why did he
team
leave
in
the first place?
This is a Kevin Durant like situation. Don't get me wrong. Like, this is equally as bad as Kevin going to the Warriors. But LeBron, like, the one position Cleveland needs to fill is the 3. LeBron plays that perfectly. You can get rid of a handful of players. It makes sense to me. And honestly, Bronny going to Cleveland and playing in Cleveland makes a lot more sense to me than him staying in LA. Because I don't think LA truly believes in the kid. I think they're only giving him minutes because his dad is playing and his dad's on the team.
And how many more years till his other son is
Bryce
eligible?
could come in next year,
Is it after
technically. Well,
this?
technically, if he wanted to and got the invitation, he would have gone in this year in the draft, but I don't think they do that of high school anymore.
Is he better? I haven't watched anything of his.
But his body is built more like his father. That is probably the long and short of it. So in terms of being a better player than Bronny, sure, I guess you can say that. But let's also not forget that Bronny had a heart condition that almost killed him right before he was drafted. And I mean, he really hasn't gotten back to his full 100% potential yet.
Yeah,
so
it's
we
just a
don't
blessing
know.
he's alive to play.
Yeah, we don't know what Bronny's going to look like at the end of his career. But
well, let's take a break because I want to hear what the update is with the I've been so confused with this inside the NBA and the NBA on TNT stuff.
I cried.
We'll get into this and much more. Text in 661-842-2000. This is the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 1230 a.m.
101.1 FM.
Damn, unfortunate, like taking shots. Nobody, Knicks are dead.
Again,
I don't think so.
y'all are freaking out over nothing.
Unless it's Giannis.
Unless you get a shot at Giannis or KD, I wouldn't blow that up for anything. I really wouldn't. I think it worked pretty dang well outside of the last series of your season. And honestly, you just ran into the wrong team. Because if they would have played against Cleveland, it probably would have been a better series for them, at least more competitive. But I don't know. Again, that's their thoughts. I leave mine for the show. This is the early bird special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky.
So what is up with the inside the NBA?
So first and foremost, I cried. I teared up a little bit. I won't lie.
One of the only show, the pregame or postgame, it's the best one.
It really is. And I can't even call it a pregame postgame show. It's its own show. Like at times, the basketball game that's shown seems like a long break for inside the NBA. You know what I mean? Like you're more like focused on hearing what Ernie, Kenny, Shaq, and Charles have to say than anything that's happening in the game. And I don't know. When we had heard that show was going to be taken off the air altogether, I was worried. I was like, oh, the NBA is done.
So that was the timeline. It announced that they were canceling it, or
they were not going to renew it on TNT.
And it got moved.
ESPN picked up the rights to it. So it'll now be moving to ESPN starting next season. However, I guess for the stories that I have been reading, Charles has gone on many, many shows, like his Dan Patrick Show appearance, as he does a lot, and a couple others where they've asked him about this and how the transition is going. Charles has been very, very outspoken about ESPN, though, from the get-go. He does not like ESPN. He doesn't like a lot of the pundits and a lot of the people who talk on ESPN. He probably wouldn't like us, to be honest with you. But at the same time, he's now a part of them. So you have to kind of like find a business, a level of business that you can work with these people. However, I kind of see his point, because from what I was reading on The Athletic the other day and actually it might have been on Sports Illustrated too, I'm not 100% sure, they were running pilots for the new show that they obviously were just going to show to executives and stuff like that. Charles didn't like them, said they were dumb as all hell and just pointless and this, that, and the other thing. And then it comes out that apparently most of these games that they're going to be featured on inside the NBA are going to be on TNT. So now, granted, simulcasted, there's going to be a handful of games that are on ESPN as well. And you're going to see inside the NBA on ESPN programming. But a good amount, if not the majority of the games that you'll see them on, are still going to be on TNT. So I kind of agree with him. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I get it if you don't have basketball on TNT anymore. That is 100%. I get it. You don't have it, so you can't have the show anymore. But if the show's still going to be on TNT, then why isn't TNT just forking over the money for it? I get what, and then obviously that's easy for me to say because I don't run their books, but it's just, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. If you're still going to be having the television rights, show it on TNT, but now it's not owned by TNT.
Just let ESPN pay for it.
Right. And again, Chuck has just been very outspoken about not caring for working for ESPN in general. He's hoping TNT makes some sort of move to buy them back. Whether that's actually in the cards or not, I have no idea. But I kind of get his point, though, that what is the point of moving us off of TNT if we're still going to be technically on TNT? You might as well have just kept us on the rate or on the books. Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's pretty much the long and short of it. Starting next year, you're still going to see Inside the NBA on ESPN, which a lot of people are excited about. I'm excited about. I won't lie to you. But any excuse to get more inside the NBA is a good thing, in my opinion. But that's just me.
I did see that Shaq is making $15 million more with his new deal. So, I mean, it all goes back to money.
But again, you also have to take into account how much Shaq, or how much money they had to offer Shaq for him to go to ESPN.
To even come back.
Yes. Yeah. And along with Chuck and Kenny and all these other guys, because Chuck wants to retire here pretty soon from what he's said. He maybe has 1 or 2 years left on TV and then he's gone. But
will that show survive without him?
Without Chuck? Yeah. Unfortunately,
That's one of my favorite ones.
I love Charles. I really
too.
do. But I think Shaq is now like a bigger personality.
Shaq and Kenny. And they what the older white dude
Ernie
is gone, right?
That's the one that I'm not 100% sure. At first, that's what we heard, is that Ernie will not be going with the show to ESPN because he works for TNT as a whole. He doesn't work for
I believe
Inside
what
the NBA.
what I heard in the last game of the series, I believe he was saying he was retiring.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Which, I mean, this guy has been around the NBA for decades.
Ernie Johnson is, Ernie Johnson's a big reason why I sit behind this microphone today, if I'm being completely honest with you. But it's just, and honestly, have you heard the internet craze right now that everyone thought he was part black? Like if you type in Google, or I guess they tested it on one of the final shows. If you go into Google and type in, is Ernie Johnson black? It says yes. It's actually kind of funny. But no, I'm not 100% sure if Ernie is going to move with the show, because from what I understand, the plan was that he was not going to be moving to ESPN with it, because it doesn't work for ESPN, and doesn't, much like Charles, doesn't want to work for ESPN. But Kenny for sure is locked in. I know Shaq is locked in, and Charles is at least locked in for the first year. Who is going to fill that 4th spot? If it's not Ernie, I'm not 100% sure. I would assume it's probably going to be what's his name? Adam, the guy who does it for ESPN already.
Whatever.
Yeah, I can never remember his last name, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And
who's the ESPN basketball guy? Is it still Jalen?
No, now it's Shams Charania, I think, is their main insider. But I don't know if you're going to have Shams as your host of the show.
More of a reporter.
Yeah, he's more of the Adam Schefter of the NBA or
Kendrick
for them. You could, I guess, you could throw Kendrick in as that 4th. I mean, have all 4 of them be athletes. It has worked in the past, but I feel like you need somebody that's not an athlete on that panel as well, to just at least be there to sit as the fan of all of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's always nice to have more athletes' thoughts on stuff, because obviously they have firsthand experience, but you need somebody there that at least talks for the fan at the same time.
And I know there was some updates that came out with the better guy.
Yeah, we were talking about this off air, just to, if we even wanted to talk about this, just because we gave it way too much screen time last week. But Lance McCullers, the pitcher for the Astros, who was getting death threats, they identified the man who was sending said threats. And apparently he don't even live in the U.S. He's an overseas bettor, and he blames it on being drunk and angry. Look, we said it when we talked about it the other day. I don't give a dang how much money you have and how you use it. It is not my business. But when you send death threats threatening a person's child, you need to go to jail. I'm sorry. You need to go. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. You need to go to jail.
Sorry, not sorry.
I don't care how drunk you are. And if it was a mistake, that is ridiculous for you to have sent threats against someone's 5-year-old daughter, who then he had to hear ask, what's a threat? Who wants to hurt mom? Who wants to hurt dad? Who wants to hurt me? Those are quotes, by the way. It's not me making that up. He has said that multiple times. This is a ridiculous situation. And honestly, I say this to anybody listening or watching this stream. If you're one of these people that sits there and thinks it's okay to DM somebody because you lost a fantasy football game because they didn't play, or you made a bet and they lost, so you think it's okay to take it out on somebody that was part of the team, you're the problem. I'm sorry, you're the problem. And I don't want anything to do with you. It's ridiculous. And honestly, I know this guy's overseas, so you really can't do anything about it. But I find your excuse, sir, to be absolutely ridiculous. Drunk and angry is no excuse to send death threats for somebody having a bad baseball game.
Right.
You're full of yourself. And honestly, if you are an American citizen, I say they pluck your butt back here and throw you in the cell. I really do. I genuinely believe that.
Some ESPN just reported Steelers come out saying they are unlikely to trade for Jonnu
Aha.
and that they need wide receiver help. So they've got Gabe Davis, free agent wide receiver, coming in.
Well, that's good news
to
for
work
you.
out.
You don't lose your tight end.
Jeez.
I mean, again, I feel like this was going to happen regardless because I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were talking about trying to get Jonnu before he went to Miami,
Mhm.
when Arthur first came to Pittsburgh. But they're not wrong. They need wide receiver help, especially with Pickens now gone.
And we need a tight end.
It's
So,
true.
What the hell?
I mean, you got to figure it out at some point. I'm still waiting for this Ramsey trade.
Yeah.
That's who I want to know, who's going to make the big move for Jalen.
I was hoping they would come out and say, no, we're not going to trade him.
Trade who? Jalen?
Yeah, but Jalen's done. He's done in Miami. He's already
I just don't think he
coach is
likes,
already not even letting him go to the OTAs.
Yeah,
so.
it's like I don't think he likes the coaching staff. I don't think they have a very good relationship.
I think just the rotating door at defensive coordinator the last
Yeah.
3 years, it's probably a reason for a veteran to be like, you know what, I got to chase a ring somewhere else.
If you're Jalen Ramsey, though, and you get to choose where you go, where you picking?
I mean, I think in his mind, he'd probably go back with the Rams.
That's a good
Personally,
choice.
I think McVay's already came out, and I think he's a Cali guy, so I wouldn't be surprised, but I still would put my money on he goes to Dallas or Washington. And luckily, he doesn't have the no trade clause, so he doesn't have
A right to
any
waive
pull.
anything. Yeah.
I mean,
you could ask him still, I'm sure, but if you don't have a good relationship with the front office or the team, I doubt. I'm with you. I doubt they're going to have any consideration for where you want to go.
but we'll keep you updated, and we'll take our final break of the day. And we've got a jam-packed show tomorrow. We'll preview that and our Raw recap right after this break. ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Oh, I know every word of this song. Welcome back to the early bird special. Final segment of the day. I'm Chris Burdick, that's Sparky. Thank you for joining us. And join us here tomorrow, 7 to 9, 7:30. We're going to have Tiffy time. Tiffany Stratton, the WWE Women's Champion. Although I probably just jinxed it right there.
And we'll be joined with the KG, our wrestling
expert. That's why we had to push the segment again today. I'm sorry for you wrestling fans. We'll get back to our usual segment with KG starting next week after the WWE show here on or SmackDown here in Bakersfield, 6/6. Go get your tickets now. There are still some available. And for those of you online who are complaining, it's gonna be there, dude. I don't know what to tell you. Not much
Just
you can
be
do
happy
about it.
It finally came back to Bakersfield. But I will mention, I watched Raw and SmackDown last week, and no love for Bakersfield. They just continue to do the pump up.
You know what's funny?
The Money in the Bank in LA. But I was like, what about Bakersfield?
On the show, they don't, but online they do show us. They do say it's in Bakersfield, so at least there's a little bit of publicity there. But yeah, a big piece of me is starting to believe they're gonna spin this as, oh, we're in Fresno, California. And I'm gonna,
God, no.
Michael Cole, I will come down there. Or I'm sorry, no, Joe Tessitore, I will come down there. But either way,
before we get into our notes of Raw last night, I did see, and I wrote it down during Raw last night. So they threw up the trivia or stats on Raw last night of all the women or all the Money in the Banks, and they said women has been 100%, 8 for 8 with the cashing in of the suitcase, and I saw the men's were 19 out of 25.
Yep.
Do you know those 6?
The 6 that were unsuccessful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. Oh God. I know of them, but off the top of my head right now, I'm drawing a blank. I feel like Edge is one of them, but I don't think that's true.
Cena.
Oh, that's right. Cena did mess it up.
Damien Sandow.
I was gonna say it wasn't Priest for sure.
No.
Damien Sandow is probably a long
2013.
I was during the dark area of my time, so
and Baron Corbin in 2017.
Corbin. Oh my God, I forgot Baron Corbin.
Braun Strowman in 2018.
Yeah, but he ended up winning it again anyway. So
Austin Theory.
Yep, that was true too.
And McIntyre.
I forgot Drew messed his up a couple years ago. Oh my Lord.
Like,
you're right. Drew messed his up last year. Oh wow, I totally forgot about that. See, this is what I'm talking about. Some of these are very memorable. Some of these can be just
like totally forgot about.
And honestly, we may get a same day cash in this year because we have a tag team match that's going to have both major champions in it at the same time. So if you don't believe the men's winner is going to cash in same day, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Seth Rollins probably wins and cashes in. I also read
that Triple H isn't a big fan of the old suitcase and
he's
the
not.
Money in the Bank.
I also just the entire concept of it is
silly.
Well, it's not silly per se because it's interesting because it's a constant wild card, obviously. And when you have a wild card like that, you can write it into every and any story. I think the annoyance from it is coming from how long you have these guys hold on to it.
Yeah.
Like we had Damian Priest almost hold on to his for a whole year, so much so that they changed the color of it.
And Tiffy.
Yeah, and Tiffy's too. And
there was like 20 different chances that she could have done it.
And that's the thing. Like, how many times are we going to tease the same thing over and over? Just if you're going to cash it in and get it over with. I don't know. It is what it is. It's just a different thing that the WWE does, whether it happens more often or not. He might slow it down. I could see him actually going in next year and saying, hey, instead of doing this every year, maybe we do this like the draft where whenever we want to write it into a story like it used to be, because Money in the Bank didn't used to be its own PLE or pay-per-view. It used to just be a match. Usually it was actually at WrestleMania. When it first started is you got a Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania, and then they made it its own PLE. So
sounds better.
Honestly, it does. But again, that's just kind of the thing. Maybe he moves back to that, the old school ways, and we get rid of Money in the Bank as a whole. But
I know the big story was, we talked about it earlier about the R-Truth and Carlito, but last night during Raw with the fans chanting, we want R-Truth or we want truth. And then it got into
I did miss Carlito's PlayStation segment.
And I have to ask you, was that a Carlito shirt that Dom was wearing?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
that's
what I
not
thought.
cool. The shirt that
And they kind
that
of
wasn't
covered
cool.
most of it, but I saw the Apple. I was like, is this
No,
fool
that
really wearing a Carlito
absolutely
shirt?
a Carlito shirt. And honestly, you're probably going to get a lot more of that from that group because he really was a good friend to them. And I think that behind the scenes, he's probably a great teacher as well because he's been in the industry for a long, long time,
They were
like just
talking
as
about-
long as John Cena's been in it.
He said, I had the sweetest job. I got paid to
Yep.
play PlayStation every week.
Exactly. And like and look funny on camera.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to complain about it. And neither is our truth. I thought it was more interesting that we want truth chants all throughout that show last night.
I guess off the
And-
air, CM Punk was chanting that don't chant somebody that's not
Well,
here.
no, he said it as a joke.
But I didn't hear that part.
It was post show, and he takes the mic and he says, "How dare you chant for a person who's not here?" You know, as a joke because they do it for him all the time. So he's just like, and he even joked and like cackled about it. It's like, play the champs music, let's get out of here, like kind of a thing. Like it's more of like he acknowledged that the fans want to see him. He was letting him know he's not here anymore. I'm sorry. And again, much like I said on the show, it was no disrespect to Ron Killens whatsoever or his career. I love R-Truth, but y'all, he already has a massive contract offering from TNA.
You know he's in his 60s, man.
He's not
It's not-
going on it. He's not leaving wrestling. He's not dead. This
I still
guy's
think
gonna
he comes back with some sort of.
I agree. I think he goes to TNA for like a year, does his thing over there, probably brings them up a little bit, and then you get one last ride with him right before he retires, and everybody, gets to watch him ride off into the sunset like we hoped. Like it's gonna be okay.
Well, I will. My 3 notes of Raw last night. Stephanie Vaquero.
Vicaire, yeah,
I love her.
fantastic.
She's a badass wrestler.
I cannot wait to see the eventual tag team of her and Rhea Ripley. It's
Mhm.
going to happen. I'm telling you, I'm calling it right now.
Oh, that'll
You
be
cannot put those two in the same picture together, liking each other, and then not have them tag.
And
It
how
needs
she
to happen.
came out with the regular clothes. I was like, damn,
Mhm.
I forgot how pretty she actually is
Oh, she's
without
gorgeous.
the demon stuff. But
She's gorgeous.
the cross sighting with him and Sammy.
Which I know a lot of people are very upset about him not getting a shot at the Money in the Bank and at El Grande Americano winning.
Which was the final thing. I was like, man, I had no idea. I figured for sure CM was going to get that.
I'm going to look right into the camera as I say this. Paul Levesque, I'm calling you, and Shawn Michaels, whoever I got to talk to, Ari, I don't care. Can we shelf this already? This is becoming so dumb. I'm starting to agree with everybody online. The fact you gave him 2 chances at the Money in the Bank match, like,
Well, the thing is, I
Mhm.
mean, a couple months before that, we were saying Gable doesn't get any love, and now he's getting love just in a different, persona.
yeah, but I want Gable to get the love. I
And
don't want El Grande to
they-
get the love.
They showed a picture shortly after Raw ended that they zoomed in with his boots when
Yep,
he won,
and he
it
had
showed the
the
CG.
CG on it.
I was
And
like,
again,
"Aw."
we already know it's him. Like everybody knows it's him. It's a running gag. I get it, but like, can Chad Gable himself get the love, not El Grande? I mean, I don't know. I'm just getting fed up with this. But my point being that I was going to get to all of this. The fact we're seeing Karrion Kross on television at all is a good thing. The fact you're getting a brewing either feud or team up with Sami Zayn, jury's still out on that with me. Seems to me like we might get a grouping of Sami Zayn, Karrion Kross, and Scarlett here pretty soon. And honestly, that'd be a pretty cool faction. I'm just saying, but we'll see what we will see. But it's a good sign, especially with this contract coming up, that potentially we're going to get an extension for Karrion Kross because they want to put him out there. I just think they desperately need the storyline to do so. But we'll get into that and more tomorrow. Join us, Tiffany Stratton, 7:30, Cactus Tate, 8:30, and Kimball Woods also with us at 7:30, Talk a Little Wrestling. This has been the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield. We got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.